into The Boys Season 1 review.
Yes.
Yes. Did I plant that whole story to do this? No, but did it work out? It did. All right. So,
you're like a bad Family Guy correspondent on the news. Oh, that's great.
Stop it. So, The Boys Season 1.
Yeah.
Amazon original.
Yes.
Based on a comic book series.
Yes. Independent comic.
This is a world where our superheroes are pretty much owned by one company, Vault Industries, and they work for them.
Yep.
So superheroes become a job, become something everybody wants to do. And we find out throughout the series that the superheroes are not born naturally.
No, they're not born naturally. They're not good people.
Not all of them. Some are.
Like 90% are terrible human beings. They're fake and phony. It's basically if you took the Justice League and made it Earth 3, so like the crime syndicate, and then hired them, they were hired by Disney, and they were run out there as a corporate entity, and they did all these things for promotions and publicity, but in the background, they're doing horrible things.
It's so the series focuses on the boys, which is Huey, which is Decker,
Yep,
Frenchie,
yep,
and
Billy.
Billy?
Yeah.
What did they call him Milkshake or something like that?
Oh, Mother's Milk?
Mother's Milk, yeah. That was a cool name. I thought it was weird.
It was weird.
So focus on the boys, and then they're going up against the Seven, so it's like their Justice League. So the Seven consists of Homelander, which is their Superman.
Literally.
Captain Maeve.
Queen Maeve.
Queen Maeve, which is their Wonder Woman. The Deep, which is like their Aquaman. They have.
Do they treat him like Aquaman?
Oh my God, we'll get to that. A-Train, who is their speedster,
like
their Flash. Then they have their Black Noir, which is I guess like their Batman.
That's their Batman.
He doesn't do anything. He's
very quiet.
He's great. He does nothing.
He like
in the
throws
series.
knives and ninja stars.
Then they have their Translucent, which is like
kind of like their Martian Manhunter.
Kind of like their Martian Manhunter. Like he's invisible. He doesn't transform. He just turns invisible.
Invisible,
and then he's like super, invulnerable. I gotta say.
And then they add Starlight. Which is like their take on Green Lantern.
Yeah, she just blasts like
Stargirl, Green Lantern.
I gotta say, this series, fantastic. I loved it.
Here's a thing. I'm gonna say I liked it better than Umbrella Academy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see you liking this better than Umbrella Academy. I think I might as well, even though I love the Umbrella Academy, just because this is a little like, I don't want to say more realistic, but it kind of feels like if superheroes were in our world, this is what would happen.
Yes,
and it felt like more adult themed.
True. I also think there were some parts of Umbrella Academy where the writing was really bad in certain scenes and like certain things. I think the overall thematic and the season of Umbrella Academy is really good. I thought the writing was way better for the boys.
I can see that.
And certain conversations, like Huey's arc is really realistic.
The fact that in the beginning we see him like, working at, his job he doesn't like. He walks out, sees his girlfriend. A girlfriend says, "Hey, you getting a raise?" And like they're having a little lover's quarrel. I'm like, "Oh, cool! Like this is gonna be great to see you in the world." By the way, I have not read The Boys. I am not going to read The Boys until after the show. I don't want to be spoiled. I know a lot of you guys are gonna read it. By all means, I want you to read it. It's a great book. I've read a couple pages now that I've read this. It's fantastic. But going back and then seeing like him holding his fiance's arms, his girlfriend's arms.
That's crazy.
And then A-Train just ran right through her. And then, he's like, I can't stop. And he left. And she's dead, puddle on the floor. He's holding her hands.
He's holding her
and then
arms.
She's blood mist on the floor.
Man.
And it happens in so early on in the episode.
Episode 1.
Yeah. And early on.
Yeah.
That, you're like, all right, I know I'm in for a crazy ride.
It's like the first 15 minutes of the episode.
So, I got a side story for you guys.
Ooh.
About Huey.
Okay.
About the artist. And about the creation of The Boys.
Let's do it.
So Simon Pegg is his father.
Yes.
So
in the show.
When I'm so sorry I forgot the name of the artist, but when the artist was drawing the characters he's drawing for Huey, he literally just copied Simon Pegg.
That's cool.
So he
like a younger Simon Pegg.
Yeah, like a younger Simon Pegg, and wrote it up. And then eventually, he had to get Simon Pegg's permission, and he had to sign off at it for DC.
That's cool.
Because this is a Dark Horse or Image. I forget which one.
No, well, Dark Horse is its own thing. Image and Dark Horse are both their own thing. DC doesn't own them.
Maybe I got that part wrong.
Vertigo?
Vertigo?
Vertigo was owned by DC until they ended it a couple months ago.
Oh, I think this is by Vertigo.
Okay.
Sorry, but he had to get his people. He had to reach out to Simon Pegg ask for permission. He already did it. It had already been selling. Simon Pegg loved it, and he gave the okay. He's like, it was fine. And then the artist is like, yeah, don't ever try this at home. I just got lucky. He's like, this is definitely, don't draw Simon Pegg in your comics without permission. And then when they were creating the show, they were like, all right, who should we cast?
Yeah.
And they wanted to get Simon Pegg to play Huey, but he's older. He's like, you know what? Simon Pegg would be great to play Huey's dad because they kind of look like each other.
Yeah.
And he's their direct inspiration for the character. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's pretty
really
awesome.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. And
I made it all up.
Yeah, I made it all up.
Can you imagine? If I just made all that up?
No, I can't.
I make up some crazy things.
That's true. But
I'm actually a dragon. That's how dragons talk.
That's how dragons
like
move.
That.
You could have watched Lord of the Rings that much.
Yeah.
That's how dragons talk. But I thought this show had a lot of way more realistic world points in a society today. Like, it's a great show for like everything going on today, right? Like corporations running the planet, basically. The overarching corporate side of them trying to get them into the military for like the contracts and money.
Dude, that was really cool. Let's focus on that real quick.
Yeah.
So the main Vault's essentially the antagonists in the series, them and their heroes. The heroes not so much. They're trying to do good, but they're still for their own selfish means, right? So the head of Vault Industries, well, one of the higher ups in Vault Industries, is trying to get this militarization deal passed. Now, before she sees that, we see her talking to different senators and cities, trying to get her heroes to essentially protect the cities, which I thought was a cool thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's going to cost you $300 million a year to have this hero in your city to defend it.
Yeah, it's like a sports contract, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna trade LeBron James, and this is how much he costs, and this is how much he's worth.
Right.
Like this hero's gonna go to Baltimore,
And
this hero's gonna go to Miami.
And they focus on like the demographics and all the stats of these things and get super analytical.
Super analytical.
And that just, one, helps sell the idea, and two, just had me sitting back like, wow. Like, this is a business. They're selling people as a business.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, this does 6% better in the age of 18 to 24 in your community. He's a black superhero in a black neighborhood. It's going to go well.
Yeah.
But leading up to this whole idea of, like, she wants them in the military to fight these people. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to get this bill passed to have Homelander and the other people get paid for military contracts because that's where all the money is. That's where a lot of money is.
Yep.
And then we see, eventually, I know we're jumping around, but, like, towards the end, there is a super terrorist, essentially, who explodes himself, which I kind of like the idea of a suicide bomber, but he doesn't die.
Yeah.
And it's a big explosion. Like, I can see that.
Like Atomic Man, kind of.
So, like, all right, now the need for supers in the military became more apparent because the terrorists have villains. So
Totally.
it's a super villain warfare going on right now.
And I think...
And we know that the one guy, Homelander, pretty much gave it to them so that way they could get their contract.
Yeah, Homelander is the evil genius behind this whole season. He's the only one who's actually like asking the questions that everyone else should be asking and just ignoring. Mm-hmm. So like when, what's his name? The guy who's invisible. Translucent. When he goes missing, Homelander's the only one like, why are we not looking for him? Where, like, this is not like normal.
And they don't care.
And no one gives a shit because, one, he's a creep.
Yeah, he turned invisible, just stand, and he has to be fully naked.
Yeah.
Because he can't invisible his clothes. And I was like, that's a cop-out. We could have done it. So you see the man's wang sometimes. So for you ladies, if you like it, nobody wants to see a wang. Women are like,
wang.
no, I don't want to see a penis. They look weird. It's fine.
They do look weird.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
But, like, so, like, he's creepy. Like, he goes into, like, the women's bathroom naked, like, invisible and just stands there.
And then, like, we find out, like, he's been missing on benders before. He's like, oh, he's probably drunk somewhere. He's standing in somebody's locker room trying to see things.
Yeah.
Like, it's freaking ridiculous.
So, like when he goes missing, they're actually like, oh, like, Homelander's like, this is a problem. So he starts following those breadcrumbs, which leads to the boys and leads to the storyline. And he's actually the evil genius behind all of this. And he starts finding things out.
Yeah.
And he's playing both sides, 3 sides at some point, which is crazy because there's some parts of it
his own, yeah. And
it almost makes him look like, in some parts, it makes him look like almost like an idiot child when it comes to what's her face.
Yeah, with the
woman that kind of controls Vought. Like where he's kind of like just this.
Like
he's the muscle, but he's not the brain.
Yeah, like she's the mother figure. Like he's jealous of the baby.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, like I want to be taken care of. Like he does X-ray vision to stare into her,
which is crazy.
Like they have sex at one point. And it felt awkward. Like he was just sucking in her nipple at one point.
It was like 2.5 seconds long.
Yeah, I was like, this is a lot of nipple sucking for the show that I'm not okay with. You're a grown man baby right now, and I don't appreciate it.
There's a lot of weird shit. And then him and Queen Maeve used to date.
Yes.
For a while, and there was just a lot of stuff, and like seeing his kind of decline into madness, and obviously the biggest scene is the plane scene. Yes.
So let's talk about Queen Maeve a little bit before that plane scene. Oh well, actually, her real arc in the story starts with that plane scene. I want to say, like before that plane scene, she was kind of like smaller of a character. Then the plane scene
she was smaller
happens.
of a character, but I think her arc started with Starlight showing up and being the new young pretty girl in the group. That's
when like you start seeing her, but like I want to say like the more emotional and like where we get to really know who Queen Maeve is happened. Because during the airplane scene, they have flight 47 or 37, something like that, was going down. Queen Maeve and Homelander go to save it, stop the terrorists on board. The pilot's dead, and then
Homelander like heat visions through the entire thing.
Exactly, and he can't stop the plane. And Queen Maeve is like, oh, why don't you just fly out and then push up? And I'm like, yeah, like Superman. Yeah, perfect. And he's like, how am I going to do that? There's nothing for me to push off of. He's like, I'm just going to be there like holding it. Like it's not going to do it.
Like logic. It's just like.
And I was like, that's perfect logic against Superman.
Yep.
And I was like, I mean, well, really, theoretically, if you go fast enough, you're creating your own force and you could do that.
Well, if you could defy gravity and you have strength.
Right, like he should be able to do it, right? Yeah. I need a science nerd here.
And then she's like, oh, like what if you took 2 at a time, got it like really fast, got him to land, like see how many people we could save. And he's like, I'm not doing that. Like
he's like, that's not going to save it all.
That's not. He's like, that's too much. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he was lazy.
Like, screw that. And he's like, let's go.
Unfortunately, they're all going to die.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And like there's kids, mothers.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, what about just take these 2? And it's like this little girl, and he's like, and he literally like snaps, and he's like, wait, are you leaving us? And he's like, he literally like almost heat visions them all. He's like, back up. He's like, back the hell
up. I'm a Homelander. I'll kill you. And I'm like, oh my God.
So literally you're basically like, all right, do we die from this crash, or do we die from him like heat visioning me in half?
So they leave. Plane crashes, everybody dies, nobody knows. Queen Maeve has to deal with the guilt. She goes back to her ex-girlfriend, which we don't really see a lot because we know that she went to AA. And then she has Alcoholics Anonymous,
and she also used to date Homelander too. So
used to date Homelander.
She's like bisexual.
Yeah. So and then we see her and like her whole decay, and then like she's
which actually makes more sense for like Amazonian type character.
Yeah.
Like what our argument about Wonder Woman all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Touche. But she's like dealing with her own moral compass, and then later when I was gonna say Flashlight.
A-Train?
No, what's her name?
Oh, shit, I just had it. The Starlight.
Yeah, Starlight. Yeah, when Starlight gets accused, like she defends her and stuff like that.
Flashlight.
So she was a cool character. I know we're gonna see more of her in season 2. They didn't really touch up her a lot.
It's a lot of characters because not only are you dealing with the 7 plus the Vought people,
you're dealing with the boys.
You're dealing with the boys, and Billy and Huey are the 2 like major characters I think that were awesome. Like especially Carl Urban, like he was so good in this.
So good. Hold on, before we get to the boys, I want to talk about one last person from the 7.
Okay.
And then when we talk about the boys, the other ones are going to be illuminated because of what happens. So I want to talk about the Deep real quick. So the Deep, yes, they make fun of him like he's Aquaman. But when Starlight first comes, he pretty much like blackmails her to give him oral sex.
Give him a blowy.
Yeah. I was gonna say I was trying to be polite. You saw that?
Well, I mean, you went through nipple sucking for a while, so I figured blowy isn't the worst we could talk about.
He's right. He's right. I'm sorry. He's right. All right. So, she reluctantly does it, and then
because he's like he basically is like I'm the number 2 around here. So
if you don't do it, you're out.
Yeah, and it's basically like classic big corporations.
Yeah.
Like, how badly do you want this job?
Yeah.
Or like, acting studios, how have been in Hollywood for the last 30 years. How badly do you want the part, young, pretty lady? Like, it's
we know certain people who have done that. Not personally, but we know.
Yeah, like stories. It's, like the kind of very Harvey Weinstein-esque.
Harvey Weinstein.
It's like basically that was what they were portraying. Like, these big companies will do anything to do whatever they want to do because they have money and power.
Eventually, he gets outed. She outs him on TV that this happened.
At like Christian Con or whatever.
Yeah, right? Vought pretty much puts him away in some random city, and like he's bored.
In Ohio.
In Ohio, right?
Oh.
He really can't do anything. He's almost like a spokesman for like the water park and nonsense. He tries to save a lobster. He's like, "Oh, you want this one?" He's like, "Yeah, take him out." And he's like, "Oh, I'll cut it." He's like, "No, don't cut it." And he kills it. And
every
like,
time he tried to save something, it died. Or like the dolphin going through. Oh my God!
When he captured a dolphin, and then he had to stop because the dolphin went right through.
And a truck ran out.
How great was it? The dolphin was like a girlfriend. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna be together, right?" He's like, "Yeah, we're not worried about that right now. I'm trying to get you out."
He's talking to the dolphin, as if like the dolphin was in love with him, and he's like, "Oh, we'll talk about that later." He's like, "No, we're friends."
I think they hooked up.
You think he banged the dolphin?
I think so.
That's fucking disgusting.
Hey, he's done some weird things.
But like,
he went in that blowhole.
But that sucks though, because he was actually trying to do good, right? Like he's like, listen, I want to, I want to focus on saving the oceans and saving this, and like, you know, everyone at this point has seen Blackfish, like the documentary on Netflix about SeaWorld and how they treat the, you know, the whales and. Oh, you haven't? It's like 9 years old.
I know about it. I know what happens.
But like basically like the whales are depressed in these cages. They need to be free.
Free Willy.
Yeah. So like basically that's his concept, right? He wants to go to this like SeaWorld-esque park, take the dolphins out and release them back to the wild. That's a good thing.
I wish he called the dolphin Willy, just so you have that Free Willy moment.
But like, so like he like gets chased by the cops and like they kind of make a blockade, so he jams on the brakes. The dolphin like goes through the windshield, and then a truck just runs it.
And I was like, oh man, maybe you can save it. Fucking dolphin meat.
And then the lobster thing was just the icing on the cake.
But what happens? He meets up with a girl, and like they start going at it.
Oh, gross!
And then like he shows her his gills,
which we haven't seen. This like we didn't know he had his basically has gills on his rib cage.
It was gnarly. And then she puts his fingers up in the gills and
she's like, "Come on, freak boy, you freak show."
Yeah, like hurting him and like
and he's like, "No, it hurts." And she's like,
fingering his gills. I don't know what it is.
It was weird.
It left me uncomfortable.
It was so weird.
That was the worst thing in this.
Yeah, that was like that was cringeworthy.
I was like, "Oh, you can suck the nipple, sure, lady. Dan, you have a weird Oedipus complex, yeah, but don't touch the gills."
Literally, the weird Oedipus complex is the best way to describe it.
All right.
Anyway, the boys.
Let's talk about the
actual boys.
Talk about Huey, Dewey, Louie.
Huey, Dewey, Louie. Huey and Billy. Billy, his whole thing is he has this vendetta against heroes in general. He was kind of like ex-FBI, ex-CIA. He's kind of like a bounty hunter, like a lone bounty hunter. He's basically like a lighter version of the Punisher. Mm-hmm. And he has this vendetta against superheroes because his wife used to work for Vought. And she basically went missing. And he either thinks she committed suicide or was killed by Homelander based on, in his mind, she was raped by Homelander.
Yeah.
Now, this is my big question of this show, the number one question of the show.
Yeah, because of the ending. Yeah, all right.
So, not even about the ending. So, there's a scene, there's one episode in particular where we see this kind of overarching kind of backstory about Billy. And we see Billy watching a video that this agent comes to his house and is like, this is the last footage, this is the footage we have, like, where we kind of like last saw her. She was at Vought, she goes in, and 3 hours later she comes out after being alone with Homelander.
And it looks like they had sex.
Yeah, she comes out very disheveled, like putting her shoe back on, hair's a mess. But here's the thing. Billy is dead set like she was raped, and then this happened. To me, that's not necessarily what happened.
No, I think they have an affair.
Like, either she was raped... and her reaction was like, oh my God, this kind of just happened. I need to, like, what do I do because he's Homelander? Or she just made the biggest mistake of her life by cheating on her husband.
I think that's what happened.
And that was the, like, oh my God, what did I just do face?
So I want to talk about the end. I gotta talk about it. Because this is the biggest thing. You know, Huey's arc, you know, he's mad. He falls in love with Translucent, sorry.
No, he blows up Translucent.
He blows up Translucent, which is great. Falls in love with Starlight. Mm-hmm. You know, they have the whole thing. They started fighting because she realized who he was. Forget all that. The ending is what matters. Yep. Billy captures the head of Vought. Well, Homelander's like mother figure.
Yeah.
Straps some bombs onto her.
That he's in love with.
Homelander comes in. And Homelander is dealing with this revelation of what happened to this woman, because he again was asking questions that we wanted to know.
Yeah, and they figured out, like, Homelander figured out that she was pregnant with his child.
Yep.
And they told him that she died in childbirth, and then the kid died 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
And, like, and he was like, I never knew I could even have a child because of my powers. Kind of like Superman, right? Like, how can Superman have a child? Like, the kid basically punches out. They show the kid basically, like, punching out of her.
And, like, we thought, like, the footage that we saw, like, she looked dead.
Yeah, she looked like she bled out.
I thought she died.
Yeah.
I thought she died. She died. And they're having this whole conversation. He's like, oh, this is about her, right? And, like, he doesn't really even care about Billy. Like, he's talking to her.
Yeah.
And he realizes that she's been lying to him this whole time, manipulating him. She's like, oh, after some, hours torturing him, I figured out the truth. I want you to tell me the truth. And then, like, she's like, oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not the case. He lasers out her eyeballs, bro.
He basically,
wow, and, like, you saw everything. Like, the laser just going right in his ocular.
And she just melted her face through.
Oh, my God.
Like, almost like even... Because Billy figured out his weakness, right? Like, so that was like, what the hell is Homelander's weakness? That was the question throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
Like, what's his weakness? What's his weakness?
Because there's no kryptonite that we know of.
No. And that was his weakness. Like, which they thought, like, this woman he loves, he will do anything to, to save her.
Sidetrack.
And then he was like, once she's out of the way, what's your next move?
Yeah.
And Billy's like, well, fuck it. And he's like blowing himself up.
I think if they put C4 up his butt and blow him up like Translucent,
I think so.
Work.
Or he swallowed, like, put it in his mouth.
I think C4 up the butt is the way to kill anybody.
That's how they killed him.
Or poison.
Yeah. Anything internal.
But yeah, blows him up. Homelander saves him.
Mm-hmm.
And reveals, like, he saves him from a suicide explosion. He's like, oh, wait, buddy, relax.
He's like, wake up.
Let me show you this. Turns, he sees his wife and the son of Homelander and him. And, like, the Homelander son, like, has red eyes.
Yeah.
Like that's
crazy.
As far as we know, that's the firstborn, naturally born hero, super powered, person.
Yep.
And now I just can't wait for season 2. I want to know what's going on. I want to know, like, how he's going to deal with the fact that his wife's alive. I want to know what's going to happen with the kid.
I want to know
Starlight
if
going to join the boys and fight them. Like, are we going to have a huge Starlight Homelander fight? Can Starlight kill Homelander?
Is A-Train going to come back with a vengeance?
Yeah, because A-Train came back with a heart attack.
Insane.
I think A-Train's going to go neutral. I think he's going to try to remove himself.
Maybe.
I think after the heart attack. And we saw A-Train, like, get, like, racially profiled in this, which is great.
Yeah, we saw that, and his brother was, like, the normal one trying to get him off. Like, A-Train's basically a junkie.
Yeah, because he's taking V, the serum that makes him.
Yeah. And
super powered.
He's like, because, again, that pressure of, like, hey, if I'm not the fastest, I'm out of the 7.
Team.
Like, I'm out of the 7, and I can't do that at my age and everything. Like, no, this is my life. I can't not live my life this way.
Crazy.
And he was dating this other girl who was like a B-list hero.
Popclaw.
Yeah, and she basically was like kind of like X-23.
Yeah, she popped the claw out.
She had like a bone claw that came out of her wrist.
And then she took V and had sex with a guy and just squashed his face.
That was.
I was like, oh my God.
Not a terrible way to die, though.
She's like, yeah, take it. You want this hero thing, right? And I'm like, oh my God.
He was the landlord.
Yeah, the landlord. The poor landlord. And he died to squish.
Some like Middle Eastern landlord.
So, all in all, I think it's safe to say we highly recommend Boys.
Yeah.
The Boys, sorry. Has a lot of adult-themed, realistic superheroes in the modern world.
Yeah.
Focuses a lot on the economic side of it, the business side, the military, the political, and the down-to-earth. Hits all different areas that you could possibly think of.
Totally.
I rated it 10 out of 10. I don't have anything wrong with it.
I'd probably go 9.
Yeah, because you don't give out 10s.
10s are tough, man. 10s are really tough to just give
understand.
out. But I think it was a 9. I actually, like, 8 episodes was really, I thought they hit that perfectly, like the length.
I felt like everything was...
I really went from, like, what the fuck is Frenchie to really liking Frenchie.
Yeah, at first Frenchie was a slow burn, but he worked out.
And also, like there might have been some type of love interest with him and the crazy powered Asian girl.
We're gonna find out more about that.
Who was also she also played Katana in Suicide Squad.
Thank you. Oh my, that was bothering me so hard.
So she was in that. Which that ended really interestingly, where they get captured and like Frenchie releases, they break them out. Yeah, great show, great themes, very realistic. and just an awesome binge. Like every episode had a kick to it. Every episode had its own theme and storyline that just punched you, and you were like, how worse can these people get? And they got worse and worse. So I loved it.
All right.